Hello, little one. Frida Reba Darcy and one Patricia O'Connor. And once again, we have a fabulous, fabulous looking day today in the Bay. Here in Alameda, California. Everybody's budding out nicely, and I thought I would do a couple of little recaps right quick just to show off things. If you've maybe you're having some of this good fortune, or maybe you could use some. If so, things are just starting to bud out all over. You can see little bumps coming out, little sprouts coming out all over. Everything's starting to look all springy. You may notice a couple of days ago I started the trick where I'm going to use a dipstick, the dipstick. And I noticed in my video that I didn't really do a good job of showing the results. You can definitely tell that is moist, and it feels moist. So, and I don't think I've watered the tree since 2 days ago when I did that. So, haven't been playing with that now, not really playing with it, but having been using that for a couple of days. Here's the first observation. The tree was wetter than I thought. Both this tree and that tree, upon checking it, they were both wetter than I thought. I thought I would have watered that one possibly yesterday, and the stick said no, and the stick still says no. So we'll check it this afternoon and make sure, but it's also pretty cool out today. I don't think I have to worry about that much transpiration due to the heat, but I'll probably check my Japanese black pine later today. But a couple of days into this, and my observation is that even amending my water, it was still damper than I thought. So I thought that was interesting and worth a mention. I got little buds here coming on the end of the cypress trees. It's starting to put out little buds on its branches. Its lower branches are starting to do that as well. My larger tree here, more little buds breaking out there and there. All of these are raised, and there's going to be one there. There's one right there you can see. That one is starting to raise up more. I think I showed you that one. That one is starting to be more pronounced. So yeah, these branches, when you look at it, sometimes you just change your angle and you see a lot more. This branch has got a couple of shoots coming out on it. This branch has 4 coming out on it. This old site, has some new growth coming out on it. This tree was the one that I believe showed first. If I'm actually honest, I noticed this guy looking scaly, kind of scaly like it does now, was the first thing I noticed. Was that, I think, waking up. There's a little shoot there on this guy. There's some there, and you can just see that's absolutely peppered with new growth. There's going to be a shoot there and there. Now this other side, I'm looking at this base. I had mentioned earlier, let's look at that profile. Now in theory, we want both of those to become, fairly massive trunks over the next couple of years in their own right. I like the way this one is centered over its cut better than I like this one. Last year, during spring, a shoot came out right here, but it came out late in the year and died back. So the following spring, it wasn't there. Oh yeah, that's a nice looking little shoot right there. But if I were to get a shoot come out right in here, in this area, I might I might try to enhance that or try to encourage that to be a new leader rather than let this one take that John out and come back. My, that'll probably become more subtle over time, but I think the tree will always kind of grow that and back. And I would rather have the leader that I thought I was going to get last year that came right from there. So that'll be some decision making. If one of those were to pop up, well, I will encourage that to grow for a while, and then if I have competing leaders, then I would consider chopping this one back. I mean, I'd have to make a decision at that point, and I think I would go with the new one inside. So I would not give up that much growth again this time next year. I think with the amount of branch building and the amount of thickening of the bases and everything to cover all of that up, I could give up this one last growth season if I got a strike right there. But otherwise, I'm also okay with making a beautiful tree out of that. I showed on another video, probably nobody caught this, but as you can see, my Japanese black pine, I've got it kind of on a tilt so that it will drain better, and that is on a wedge. And that wedge came out of here. And the other day when I did water the Japanese black pine, the first thing I do before I water it is I take the wedge out from under it and I water it all the way through. That way I won't have the water go through the pot sideways and the top third of one end of it be high and dry. I set it down back to even, water it all the way through, and then an hour or so or several hours later, I think in this case the next morning, I put it back up at an angle. But while I was holding it, I did a quick look, because last time I was talking about the person who possibly put a wedge cut in this literati, would have afforded them the opportunity to hold a wedge that came out of would be a display of every growth ring the tree ever had that far up at the top. That would be a really good indication of age. So when I gave this one a look, when I was holding the reverse of that, and I gave it a quick look, some years the growth rings on this tree were about a ½ inch, meaning that it was had good sun and was probably allowed by the grower before me to just go full out, and it had made some years were actually ½ inch growth rings, but I counted 16. So I think my center tree, by that count, I had. Now I could have been a little bit more. I'm fairly sure that's pretty close. If I wanted to sand that, if I wanted to take that wedge to a sander, a disc or something that's a flat surface, and then sand down a wet edge to it, maybe wet it a little bit, that would contrast out those rings even better, and I would do a better job of, or make it easier to count them. I think I did, but I would say that's pretty close. 16 years on the center tree. Had this tree been in Florida, for instance, or in Louisiana, it would have grown even bigger, faster. I've seen larger than this 10-year-old cypress trees, but I'm pretty happy with that. I'm especially happy with the way the buttresses on the roots, the way they fan out like that. I I believe that just, the thing is going to have its roots anchored in mud that is sometimes ever changing. I can just see these things fanning those buttresses out for the same reason architects put buttresses on medieval walls, that gives rigidity to your upright against the wind and against the different soil conditions. I also think, I said this earlier, I had a question about how these trees grew so deep in the rivers. And one day it occurred to me, this isn't scientific knowledge, but it just occurred to me, I went, well, the city of New Orleans that you hung out in for a couple of years sinks about like an inch a year because it's built on an ancient swamp, on a bog, and that still compresses. It just won't stop compressing. It's not that the city is necessarily getting heavier, it's that the weight that it already has will just encourage it to sink. And I was like, yeah, of course those trees also sink. They grow up, they grow heavier, they probably compress the ground underneath them in the same way that a city compresses the ground underneath it. And that would explain why you would sometimes see a couple of 100-year-old cypress tree that's probably in 30 feet of water year round. And yeah, it probably started on a little tree island and then just pushed the dirt around it right on down as it grew. So yeah, those are a couple of little afterthoughts about what was going on there. I would say my little dipstick system will probably have an influence, is already having an influence on my watering, and it's probably just in time. With me being gone 3 days a week, I don't think that's enough to hurt me as long as I stay on my game. And that's the main thing, is to try to maintain some stability with a system when you all of a sudden introduce something new. In my case, 3 days a week. I was just asked recently how I was still liking my job, and the fact is, when I used to work in film, I considered it kind of like it was freelancing, and sometimes that's stressful. Sometimes you worry if the phone will ever ring again or some of that stuff. And sometimes then you get work and you think, well, good, this is exactly what I asked for, and then you're standing out in some god awful weather, and you have to just bear with it, like that's what good clothes are made for, or that's what foul weather gear is made for. You find yourself way up in the air operating lights off of a crane, and it's really cold and sleeting, and you go, yeah, I'm glad my phone rang. And the last thing you'd ever want to do is tick off the work gods. So there were times when I thought, it'd almost be sweet to be in some little hardware store somewhere, be an antique person hanging out at the local cool mom and pop hardware store. I bet I could be pretty helpful at one of those. And I do enjoy it. But any job is a job. At the end of the day, I have days when I get up, and if I had my choice, I definitely would roll over and not go in. I think that's what they mean when they say it's a job. So yeah. But 3 days a week, I can hardly complain about 3 days a week. It's probably better for me than tearing me down. The activity and of it, the extra activity of it, beyond my comfort level, is probably better for me. Look at all the blooms on the on the Kodaheim forest, not blooms, but everything is starting to bud out, just really seriously. Those aren't, in some cases, buds, those are already little leaves. And the Bougainvillea spent the night with us last night, watching anime, and hung out. Probably got down into the high 40s, and I just thought it was starting to get really nice and green. I didn't want to go back on that. And this wisteria, both of them are just shifting into gears, something fierce. It has already grown quite a bit. Those stalks have already grown quite a bit since I watered the tree about a couple of hours ago. Yeah, and that's another quick look at our little mighty oak, and it's got all of those salmon colored shoots all over it. I need to put some wire in that or clip that back or doing something. It probably needs to do a clip on that so I can get some more directions going. But it certainly is budding out. The Japanese black pines are both looking very nice, as is the cork bark oak. And I'm going to see if I can show you another view of the new clusters of needles coming out on our ponderosa. I think I am, although I'm not really sure. I'm just kind of like, anyway, that's a look at our ponderosa. The bark on this thing is just so intricate, so thick. It's so solid, and it looks like it'd be fragile. It doesn't feel fragile, and it smells like butterscotch. And that's my ponderosa. And the sap is rather red looking. The tree twists. It twisted as it grew. And according to one of the experts I was watching, they don't really know why they twist. I could see a couple of reasons for that. One, sometimes the way you'll see a tree and the wind will be blowing and it'll blow this far and then it'll kind of snap back, and so the tree just kind of waves goodbye all the time. And that after a time would probably wear on the threads as they're growing. It just starts working them over, and then as they grow, they would just continue around. Also, if you were to grow in exactly the same spot all the time, one side would be warmer than the other, and I could see one side growing faster than the other, just a tiny bit, and causing it to possibly spiral. Anyway, those were just, why do trees spiral? The trident maple is already starting to bud out quite a bit. I'm starting to see, we all see what there is. All of these little buds all over it. The one thing that I see that's still lagging a little behind is my Chinese sinensis wisteria. I'm starting to see some raised bumps on it, but it's kind of bringing up the rear, as it were. Today's project is I'm going to break out one of my least used tools. That's my little bonsai rake, and I'm going to rake up all of these guys. Kind of neat looking, kind of evasive, kind of gotta go. So that's what we'll be doing. That's what we'll be doing today. I don't know. Yeah. Once they dry out, they break up like the Akadama that they break down. So yeah. Also, it looks like my little fertilizer pellets might be increasing those guys' ability to grow out quite a bit. Oh, good construction. So yeah, it's a beautiful Tuesday on our balcony. Frida and I are just kind of taking it back on our day off before we go back in for midweek. It's just got so many buds on it. This guy, I was worried about this branch and these other branches just having pom-poms on the end, but they're budding out so much. So yeah, we go in tomorrow for midweek and then Friday and then our weekend off this weekend. I'm really looking forward to, because of the weather, the way the weather has been, I'm really looking forward to seeing how much all of this stuff. Can you just see all the buds on that? I'm really looking forward to seeing how much all of this stuff has budded out. And it's like the 2 days off means I get to watch things bud out for 2 days. And I'm looking forward to that. It's very, very positive. With all the things that are going on in the world, I'm certainly happy that I have bonsai. And that my bonsai trees are budding out and showing me that everybody's getting ready for another year. Because life goes on, right? Thank you so much for watching. Frida appreciates you. I appreciate you. And I just want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. And like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you, lovelies, for our Thursday drop. And we'll see how much more of these cypress trees have budded out. I'm really looking forward to seeing whether or not I get a little, whether or not, this is almost like a tension building. This is a contest. Is something going to, the reason I say that is I can see a little raise in the bump of my putty there. Like there might be a shoot just underneath. Might be my, it might just be a bump. It might be a shoot underneath there. In which case, I'm going to have a decision to make about that. But otherwise, I couldn't be happier with the response to the warm weather and the way everything is starting to show its signs of spring. Here on what is February 15th. Yeah, you can see little guys coming out there. So yeah, enjoy your day. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys again on our Thursday drop.